Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lucie's Inspiring Stories. I'm so excited you're here with us today. Why? Because this conversation is going to be powerful, practical, and full of inspiration. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with someone who truly lives at the intersection of business, brilliance, and wellness wisdom. Nathan Baws. Now, let me talk. I want to tell you a little bit about Nathan before I bring him on. Nathan is a serial entrepreneur with more than 15 successful businesses under his belt. He's appeared on Shark Tank Australia. It's Shark Tank Australia. And he holds a Guinness World Record for the longest ice bath. Ooh. And is heading or leading global innovation through projects like Emerson Wellness, Flair School, and zero cost marketing coaching. That's helping entrepreneurs scale without spending a fortune with ads. But what really sets Nathan apart is his mission driven heart. He's all about empowering people with real world skills, mental resilience, and practical strategies that actually work, folks. So, whether you're a coach, a course creator, a hotelier, or simply someone looking to grow your business and your life in a more resourceful way, you're in the right place. Nathan, I'm so thrilled to have you today. Welcome, welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. Lovely to be here. Finally, we got on.
Finally, we got
It's a
on.
challenge.
Technology for me has always been a challenge, but
uh,
I had some wonderful people who were supporting me and said, "Don't give up, Lucy. Just it's just." So thank you, Brad and Cheryl, for your support today. So I want to start at the beginning, Nathan. I want to ask you, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur, and what was that first this first spark that made you realize you were wired for business building?
yeah, sure. And by the way, can you hear me okay? Because there is a truck that's just pulled up
I
outside
can't
and is
hear
making
it.
a
I
lot.
can't hear him.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
What inspired me? At 6 years old, I knew I wanted to get into business.
Wow.
We were eating a lot of potatoes, and because they were cheap, and I had a single parent, so money was always a bit tight.
Right.
So I knew that I had to somehow contribute financially if I was going to change from starch to steak. So I actively went out, and I stayed with my cousin one week, and I said, by the end of this week, there's two good things that are going to happen. One is that I know you guys don't eat potatoes, so I don't have to look at potatoes for the week. So that's a bonus. But the second thing is I want to make some money. So we realized at that stage we had no idea how to make money. We thought maybe look for something that already looks like looks like a coin. And we found these bottle caps, and we scribbled 20 cents onto it, and we thought we'd done it. And then we realized, no, it doesn't look like anything in mum's purse. So it's probably not going to classify as money. So we then thought, well, what are we good at 6 years old? And we realized we were pretty good at making paper aeroplanes. So we said, great, let's go into business of making paper aeroplanes. So we're in the middle of the country, very quiet road, very little civilization around where we were, next to a paddock. And we set up this trestle table by the side of the road and had 20 different paper aeroplanes there, and proceeded for the next 3 hours to try and sell our paper aeroplanes. But unfortunately didn't sell one, but that gave me the taste of what business life was all about. And since then I've set up many businesses, and thankfully done a little bit better than the paper airplane scenario.
Most kids try to sell lemonade, but paper
Yes.
airplanes. That's just brilliant.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one back then. I probably should. But mind you, the fact that only 3 cars went past the whole time we were there probably didn't help the scenario anyway, regardless of what we were selling.
Wow. And now you founded over 15 businesses, as I understand. And yet your mission really stays rooted in service and innovation, doesn't it? So, what drives you to keep creating and evolving?
Opportunities. There's just so many opportunities out there, and it's like there's so many opportunities. There's so many problems in this world, and
Yeah.
businesses are a great way to set up solutions that
Mm.
make it worthwhile to deliver a solution. So
Right.
there needs to be something in it for everyone, whether it's just that great feeling, but also we also have to put food on the table, which preferably isn't a potato, and we need to make sure that when we're solving problems, then if we can structure it as a business, it's going to be more sustainable, it's going to be more self-perpetuating, and more exciting. For if you get directly rewarded for providing a great solution, then why not? The bigger
Right.
the problem, the better the solution, the bigger the outcomes, financially, in theory. So that's what sort of drives me.
Your immersion wellness really intrigues me. What was the aha moment that led you to see that hotels of all things, as the next frontier for wellness transformation? I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I was 2 years ago. I was in Thailand with my extended family. There was about 10 of us there, staying in quite a nice hotel resort for a few days. And I was sitting around at breakfast time. I eat keto. I have been in ketosis for about 5 years now.
Okay.
So for anyone who doesn't know, keto is very low carbohydrate,
Right.
high fat, high protein, but healthy fats, not bad fats. So I was eating like I normally do, eat keto for breakfast, and my other 9 family members were shoving their face with hot dogs and donuts and all sorts of crazy things, as they do. Despite my guidance, who listens to their dad anyway, right?
Right.
Um, so they were all eating what they wanted to eat. I was eating what I wanted to eat, and everyone was happy. So I thought, oh, this is actually very easy to be in ketosis and to continue my healthy eating, even while I'm on holidays. So I thought, what an amazing! And I've been running weight loss programs I'd set up eight
Right.
naturopathic clinics in Perth, and so we've been running weight loss programs across these clinics. And I had a meeting with the general manager, and I said, what are you doing in wellness space? Are you doing anything? And he said, no, but we'd really like to get into it because it's incredibly lucrative.
Hmm.
And it turns out the average guest will pay almost double happily, for a wellness stay compared to just a traditional stay. So I said, what if I set up a program? I'm running weight loss programs back home. What if I brought that to the hotel, and we set up a weight loss program and integrated, good sleep with hotels,
Wow.
great food. You've got all the exercise equipment, you've got massage, so you've got
That's right.
really good stuff, all the basics there. And he said, yeah, great, set it up. So I went back home, set it up, came back and said, right, ready to go. And he said, oh, we've got more red tape, we've got to jump through this hoop, that hoop. And I said, well, I'm ready to get going. So, what do we need to do? And in the meantime, I thought, well, how do I convert this so that we can use it globally? I mean, why just limit myself to one hotel? So
Right.
I went back, restructured it, and then offered it to everyone. So lots of hotels. So then when I was in Bali, about a year later, I went over and met with 8 hotels. 7 of them said, yep, would love to get involved. So we're still sort of setting them up and launching over there now.
Bali was the place. By the way, folks, you heard Nathan say Perth. Now his lovely accent is from Australia. Perth, Australia is that's where
Correct.
you're tuning in from, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
Wonderful accent. Thank you. So,
do
so
we
the
do
response
we
from
need an
those
interpreter, or is everyone
no,
understanding what
no, no, I don't think so. No, it's just so nice to the ear to hear another accent like that. So the response from the hotels in Bali were very, very positive. Can you share a success story that maybe or an early result that really even surprised you?
Yeah, with connecting with the hotels, or
With
one of the
yes,
guests
with the
coming
hotel and the
through.
wellness. Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I was pitching it, it was the uptake was more surprising than I was expecting. So, but the way with anything, the way you structure it is
Right.
so important. Like the offer that you make is 100% of what's going to get you to the next stage or not. If it's, if you're charging $1 million up front and saying I'll deliver, then you're going to have a few doors slammed in your face.
Exactly.
So the way I structured the offer was zero cost to the hotels. So it's not going to cost them a cent to have my program in their hotel, and they get more longer bookings, and they get a consumer that's spending a lot more money. So over that 7 days, the guest has to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's all part of the program, and it's engineered to be specific for the weight loss. So they need to know what, we work with the restaurants in the hotels to make sure that they're getting what they should be getting. So it's all pre-done. So it becomes a no-brainer for the hotel when you're saying, I'm going to bring more guests. You don't pay me a cent.
Longer.
Longer stays,
Yeah.
spending more money, more guests,
Right.
completely new guests than what you're already getting. We're tapping into the wellness industry. Then, of course, for hotels, it becomes like, when can you start? This sounds too good to be true.
Right.
So the guest coming in pays our fee, and so we don't take any money from the hotel. So of course they're pretty excited about that deal.
Wow, I love that approach, zero cost marketing. Zero cost marketing. Now, how can small business owners start using these strategies right now without spending a dime on ads?
So I like to do creative marketing, and with my potato background, I always look for ways that you can do things for free. And it starts with a question. You got to ask yourself, well, how can I do my marketing, get my product out there at zero cost,
Right.
and make it better than an advert? So starting from the basics of, well, how can I? So get the brain going, and it'll come up with solutions.
The
So
right questions. Ask yourself. Yeah.
ask the right questions. Yeah, Anthony Robbins. Actually, I'm just in a book which is coming out next month with Anthony Robbins and Brian Tracy.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, they're endorsing it, and we write a chapter in business growth. So there's myself and 20 other authors that are just contributing to that. But where was my point? So in that, so I've talked about things like when I was in the UK, I was in property, and it was in 2010, and global financial crisis hit. We were trying to buy and sell property, and the market had just crashed because the banks had stopped lending. So my sister and I put on these big yellow ugly signs with handwritten writing on there, and we walked across Tower Bridge in London, which is one of the most iconic bridges.
Right.
And we had all sorts of people going, oh my God, what's going on? And it said,
Right.
buy my flats. And we created a payment plan and put our phone number down.
Wow.
So it was a bit different. And, we had people bus drivers in the double-decker red buses just pull up right next to us, stop in the middle of super busy traffic and hanging out saying, what are you guys doing? So it created a lot of buzz, and we got into different newspapers that went viral around the world. And funny enough, we sold our flat in 48 hours.
Oh my God, that's amazing how you did that.
Yeah, so those are the sort of strategies. They're not really scalable, but they can be very impactful.
Right.
So, like paid ads are great because you scale, but they're paid. So that's something that I always try and find a way around. So these sort of stunts, guerrilla marketing, takes a little bit more time, and it also can really put you in a level of discomfort because it can be a little bit embarrassing.
That's for sure.
But when you know your numbers, all of a sudden it becomes a no-brainer. So, we knew that if we walked across that Tower Bridge with these big ugly signs on us and we sold that property, then that would be half an hour to an hour of discomfort for £40,000.
Oh,
So
wow.
we knew that was the balance. That was the way up. Is that money worth the discomfort?
Embarrassment.
Go
Yeah.
through. Embarrassment, discomfort,
Yeah.
and I have to say we're getting a little less embarrassed by things in life. So, as you do more of these things, you build up your tolerance. But it's a numbers game. So you just really have
Right.
to know, is it worth your time and your money and your effort and your discomfort? What's the reward? What's the upside?
Well, Nathan, I tried to do that once in Dallas, Texas, because I lost my dog, and we had these billboards on our bodies, and you know what? The cops came and said, "This is illegal. You can't do this."
Yeah.
Didn't you have that problem in
Yeah.
London?
Yeah. We got thrown out of a few
Did you?
places. And it's quite funny. The public was going, oh, let them go. The poor guy's just trying to sell their flat.
Right.
The public response was really, really good. But you had to be careful. I mean, we had to move on from certain locations, but by then we'd got picked up by different photographers and all sorts of things, and got the message out there.
You had made your mark already, so
Yes.
we're good.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
what was it like to be on the Shark Tank in Australia? Any behind the scenes moment that really kind of make you smile or kind of make you cringe?
Yeah, so on Shark Tank, I was overseas at the time because they come around the country and they do auditions,
Okay.
and you had to rock up. And I was in Malaysia at the time because I was trying to set up some restaurants over there, and I missed the audition, but I really wanted to get on it, so I've just filmed myself doing a pitch, and I sent it to them, sent it to them, and said, any chance you could review this video and maybe consider me for the show. And they reviewed it, and they said, yeah, come fly to Melbourne. And we still haven't done the audition over there. I'm in Perth on the other side of the country. So
Hmm.
I went over there, did the pitch. 2 weeks later, they said, yeah, sure, come on the show.
Wow.
So that was kind of lucky, and went on the show. Watching the edits was quite hilarious because they obviously have the right to use your expressions, your wording, everything, and they can muddle it all up and put it in any order they want, and they can give you either a good cut or a bad cut. It's totally up to them how they want to portray, and thankfully, for whatever reason, they decide to make us look okay. They didn't send us down the toilet, so to speak. But it's interesting watching the show. It was like our reactions of our shock reactions and different responses.
Right.
They just cut and pasted in totally different locations, and it was like, I didn't do that. I didn't say that at that time, but it's all
Wow.
to make a good story and make a bit of showbiz. Yeah,
It's media, no matter how you look at it, they're going to
correct.
do it for their own benefit. And
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let's talk about your Guinness World Record for the longest ice bath. I mean, just, I get goosebumps every time I say that. What inspired you to pursue that challenge, and let me know what it taught you about maybe mindset and business.
Yeah, well,
Mindset for sure.
mindset is part of it, and so I really focus on health and mindset and dopamine stimulation for getting really good business outcomes. And those are the three things that, sure, they have fantastic other benefits in your life. We want to be healthy, we want to live a long time,
Hmm.
but everything that I do is all business focused. So whether it's eating ketosis or jumping in the ocean, most days of the week throughout the year in the freezing weather, whatever it is, that's all directly related. I love to do it just for business growth because there's benefits that you get out of it for business. So, so cold water therapy is absolutely fantastic for moving out of your comfort levels,
Hmm.
as I did when I walked across the Tower Bridge. But it also stimulates huge amounts of dopamine. It's somewhere between 200 and 400% increases that you get out of cold water therapy.
Wow.
And that's amazing for business.
Why is it amazing for I mean, I know,
Mm,
it reminds me of Tony Robbins because he does that all the time. No
mm.
matter where he has a home, he's got that, you know, deep pool that he immerses himself in. And of course, every time I think about it, it makes me just get goosebumps, really.
Yeah, yeah.
But how does it work for increasing your business? I don't, maybe
Yeah,
you can
there's an
elaborate a
interesting
little bit more on that.
yeah, this is an interesting connect between, the Secret, the book and the movie, The Secret.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that goes into the law of attraction.
Uh-huh.
Um, what I found we can do is biochemically change our body positively and healthily,
Mm-hmm.
so that we become in the zone to attract more of the law of attraction. So you do it through the dopamine stimulation process. So there's a bunch of things that stimulate more dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter in the brain. That's the reward and motivation hormone. So every time we do something that is good, positive, beneficial, exercise, discipline, all these sort of things, the body says, "Hey, well done. Here's a reward. I'm going to release this neurotransmitter into your body." It makes you feel great. So it's a way of reinforcing. The body is phenomenal, and it's a way of reinforcing positive events. So we can also stimulate it negatively through, social media scrolling and sugar and bad
Yeah.
food and stress. All these sort of things stimulate dopamine for very short periods of time, but you end up crashing. If we do it positively and consistently throughout the day, our mood stays better, our dopamine levels stay higher. And with dopamine, it's phenomenal for business because it puts you in a zone where you become more aware,
Mm-hmm.
particularly of opportunities in business that are out there. Your vibrational energy changes, which is kind of like a woo-woo way of saying you feel better, your energy's higher, you're resonating higher. When you're feeling good, you attract more good people and more good opportunities to you. It's like a moth to a naked flame.
Right.
They're attracted. So you just more opportunities come forth, and when you're in that zone, that high frequency state where just one good thing after the other happens. You go through that flow state where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I had a great meeting, and then, oh my goodness, this new customer came in, and then, oh wow, I just did this
Positive,
phenomenal
yeah,
job.
increases, yeah.
Yeah. So all these,
Yeah.
creates a snowball effect, and that's the very powerful impact of dopamine. And
Hmm.
so if we learn to stimulate dopamine, we can get into the biochemical um, level that attracts more of the law of attraction to us.
Right.
So we can artificially but healthily stimulate in sort of predictable outcomes that law of attraction by stimulating more dopamine.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've heard Tony talk about that so many times, but he's never really explained that it did help to increase his business. He does it for his
Mm.
health more than anything else. So I remember there's a time that I decided that I was going to jump into my cold pool. And you're right, I felt great after. But then the influenza got me, and and I was down for 6 weeks. But I'm but I am thinking of going back doing it because it did feel great once I got out, and I had more energy, and I did want to get back to work fast, and I did want to be doing what I was doing and serving people. You're right about that. Now, I'm having the memory of the effects of that. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is,
The trick is not to overdo it. So you don't want to go over 3 minutes, or if you're brown fat tissue, we develop brown fat cells as we go into cold
mhm,
water more and more frequently. And brown fat tissue is great for our body. It protects us from cold, but it improves your immunity as well.
mhm.
Very, very good for influenza. But we need to not chill our body too, so that our core temperature drops. So you don't want to do over 3 minutes, otherwise you get issues.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that was the problem
It could have been.
because it was 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been.
And it wasn't as cold as it wasn't a nice bath for sure. It was just cold because the weather outside was warmer and the pool, the temperature of the water was colder. So
Yeah,
when I get back to it, I'm going to remember that. Thank you for that little
pleasure.
bit of knowledge. It's really important. Let's talk about your Flair School because
Hmm.
it's an important initiative. Um, why do you believe real world financial education needs to be reimagined, especially for the young people?
I mean, it just needs to be implemented. That's the
Mm.
key thing because everywhere when you talk to, we've done um, surveys where we've just gone out and spoken to heaps of, hundreds of parents in schools and just asked them the question, are you happy with the financial education that your kids are getting?
Mhm.
And they go, what financial education? They don't get any.
They don't.
Um, yeah, and I was the same. I had no idea, and just everyone you speak to goes through school. We learn all these
Yeah.
amazing, totally useful things like algebra that are really going to help us with day-to-day life. Not,
But you don't know
um,
how to write a check.
yeah. Well,
Not
and
that you do that anymore, but yeah.
no, no, not over here. So yeah, we just realized that it's totally lacking in the schooling system, and being in doing a history of Shark Tank, it was I brought that into one of my kids' schools, and we did a Shark Tank pitch, and the kids absolutely loved it. They loved creating business ideas. A lot of them had no idea about that side. They didn't even realize that their parents were entrepreneurial. They didn't understand what entrepreneur
Or the
and
word.
business was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our schooling system just churns out people that are, job focused,
Yeah.
not entrepreneurial. So we brought that into school. The kids went mental. They absolutely loved it. And
Yeah.
I was speaking to the headmaster and said, there's so much in this. We've got to create a system. And so we built the Flair School off the back of that, and with the headmaster, so that it would tie into the curriculum, and it was
Mhm.
relevant for every school level. And we've just launched that recently this year in a couple of schools in Perth and one in the UK. We're just getting it out there at the moment. So if anyone wants to trial it in their school, we're doing it absolutely free just to get it started and get
Wow.
feedback. And but it's pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Well, and Flair, Flare. How'd you come up with that name?
Yeah. So FLAIR stands for Financial Literacy
Oh.
Advanced Real World Education. So um, all the stuff that's lacking. So things
Mhm.
like money, finance, lending, borrowing, savings, all
Right.
that sort of financial grounding that we should all have as children to set us up in life,
That's right.
um, as well as the entrepreneurial side, just to open up minds. I mean, we got some feedback the other day from our UK partner school, and all the kids were saying, like, I had no idea that this stuff even existed, and it's so much fun creating a business and coming up with these ideas. So yeah, it's really exciting seeing that, opening
Right.
those kids' eyes and seeing their excitement around it.
You know,
Yeah.
you're very enthusiastic about entrepreneurship. You're really passionate about that. What's one myth about debunking for our audience about entrepreneurship that you're passionate about?
Well,
One myth.
the way it's being glamorized now on
Mm,
Instagram, etc., does make it look very easy. It does make it look like,
yeah.
you just have to do a day's work and get $1 million, and then you can have all the fancy cars. There's obviously a little bit more to it, and it's not for everyone. You
No.
have to have a bit of a thick skin, and you have to. That's the side that I'm really passionate about: the health and the wellness and the mindset and the dopamine, because all those things help carry you through
Right.
those tough times. And there's definitely always going to be tough times in business,
And you
stressful
need to
times.
know how to keep the momentum going. That's for sure. Yeah.
Correct. That
Wow.
resilience and that health so that we can push through those challenging times.
Right.
Yeah.
If someone's listening and they're, maybe just starting out with an idea and maybe a little capital, what would you tell them to do first?
Just look for an opportunity. I mean, if you haven't decided
Mm,
on the business, look for a big problem and see how you can solve it better than anyone else has done it.
mhm,
And then that becomes monetizable. Also, once you've got the concept, make sure you focus 80% of your time on marketing and business growth, lead generation. You can have the best product in the world, but if you don't
yeah.
have a voice to get it out there, then it's kind of a waste of time.
Wow. What do you think, Nathan? What legacy do you hope to leave behind? Not just through your business, but in how you've helped other people grow.
Yeah, I hope to have a bit of an inspirational outlook for people with those areas of health, mindset, and business, and putting them all together. And I hope other people can grow. In fact, that's why we run a monthly free little connect where we connect and we just chat, we just nerd out about business and growth, and people
Mhm,
bring their biggest business challenges growth related, and we
mhm.
just see, so I love helping, chatting about those sort of things to help people grow.
Wow. So I
Mm.
just want to bring the attention to the audience. If you want to connect with Nathan, we have call to action buttons over there to the left. And if you want to visit his website, you can click on that and it will take you to another page. And even when we finish with this interview, then you can go there and just look over the website and connect with Nathan. And also we have a connection to your Emerson Wellness. So if you click on either one of those, it'll take you to that page, and so you can get the information. Wow, what an inspiring and eye-opening conversation, Nathan. Thank you for your energy, your wisdom,
Pleasure.
your generosity in sharing both this strategy and story with us today. So let me ask you, is there any other way that you can think of that our audience, if they do want, I know you're on LinkedIn and you're also on Instagram, right?
Yep.
What,
Yep.
so
Instagram,
there's,
LinkedIn, and probably the best way, nathanbaws.com, the website. Come through that and just register on there. And yeah, love to connect with anyone who needs a bit of help and guidance on the business growth, if I can help.
absolutely. So, to everyone listening or watching, I hope you're walking away feeling fired up, more focused, full of new ideas to apply in your own journey, because that's what these stories are all about. So, again, if you want to connect with Nathan and explore his incredible work, click on our CTA buttons here on the left, and you can do so very quickly. And so, Nathan, I want to make sure to thank you. Um, uh, for your time. I know it was a little difficult to get on, partly because I should have told you that it's easier to get on with your computer.
All good. No worries. We got there. Apologies for the
We find,
delays.
and I want to thank you for your patience and not giving up. So, and also to my audience, until the next time, keep showing up boldly, keep building your legacy, and remember, you are never too old, too late, or too under-resourced to rise. So see you again next week on
Beautiful.
Lucie's Inspiring Stories. Bye for now. I'm just going to stop
Pleasure.
the recording
Awesome.
and
Right.